I'm really excited to share this tutorial with you today. This is a perfect method for anyone that has thinning hair or hair that's too fragile to hold a full set of dreadlocks or can't stand the weight of pieces. It creates a full coverage look. It doesn't put any pressure on the hair itself, and you get to repurpose your dreads. So whether you have old double enders laying around or singles, or whether you have new ones that you haven't installed yet, you can use those to create this piece. We didn't create this method. This was sent in as a customer request, and we thought that it was the original creator on this had done such a beautiful job crafting this tutorial, but some of the steps were a little bit rough to follow. So I decided to recreate it, slow it down, and show you how to make these amazing pieces. If you'd like to see the original tutorial, we'll credit that in the links below, but I hope you enjoy. I think it's a really brilliant, amazing piece. For this project, you will need dreads, material, sewing machine, and a way to cut your materials. If you're not using a sewing machine and you just have a needle and thread, that's totally fine. We're not gonna be doing a lot of sewing, so you'll be good to go. Now for the fabric, I'm just using a t-shirt that I found at the dollar store. We just need material. I like something a little bit darker so that it looks more like a shadow cast on the scalp rather than something bright that you might actually see through the dreads. And then my dreads. Now these dreads are dreads that I've installed previously. They are double-ended dreads, but singles are fine, or if you have them brand new and you've made them for this project, that's fine too. So singles, doubles, just a bunch of them, and let's get started on creating our top piece. The first step is to cut our material. So we're basically cutting a horseshoe shape out of our fabric. So we're going to cut it a little bit larger than we think we need, and we're going to position our dreads and fill from the center out. We can always cut it a little bit smaller, but obviously we can't make it bigger, so that is how we're going to start. We are going to start by snipping into our fabric. I'm not cutting through both layers, I'm just cutting through the top layer. And I'm cutting around. This is my rounded part of the horseshoe. So once we've finished cutting, we should have a shape that is flat here and is rounded here, and so it fits flat on the front hairline, and then it has this rounded shape to it here. Comes down a little bit on the sides and just a little bit in the back. Like I said, we can always cut this a little bit shorter if we have too much fabric, but we want to make sure we have enough to add our dreads and have them be really full. So let's start adding our dreads. The next step is to add our dreads to our fabric. The way that we're going to do that is we are going to make 2 holes side by side, just little slits. We want to make these just big enough for our dreads to fit through. If we're working with a double, we're going to open that up and floss that through so that our top loop goes through our fabric hole. So we have it loop, tails, going through the hole. Now we're just going to latch them through the loop and cinch them down. And that is how we're going to add our dreads to this entire piece. We're just going to work until that is incredibly full. Now, if we're doing a single, it is a very similar process. We are just going to put in the same 2 holes. Again, size them appropriately to your dread. We are going to put the tail through the hole, leaving the loop out the top. Then you're going to pull that tail through the loop and cinch it down. The nice thing is that we haven't done anything to these dreads. There's no glues, bands, loops, wires. So this actually works as a really good storage unit for your dreadlocks. So you can take these off of this piece and go back to installing them if you like. I'm gonna take this one off because I'm gonna do all of these in the same color scheme, but I'm gonna show you the finished piece in just a moment. So now I have completed adding all of my dreads to my top piece. And the underside looks like that. Now, a couple things to note. I did work from the top, leaving about an inch, and I worked back towards the back. And there were a couple times where I did accidentally break one of the holes. I just made another little hole next to it and put the dread through that. And if it was a little bit too big, I would put 2 dreads using that same base hole and just cut slits next to it. So, and it filled in just fine. As you can see with this bottom piece, it's no longer laying flat, so it did scrunch it in a little bit together. So making it a little bit on the big side is probably to your advantage. The next step is to make sure that it fits properly. So we're just going to lay it on the head and make sure that it has appropriate coverage. So this looks nice and full. If it needed a little bit more, we could always go in and add more to that bottom edge, or add in a little bit of fabric, alter it a little bit, add more dreads in, whatever we needed to do. So the last step in creating this piece is to add the material that will go into the front and also tie around in the back. This is going to create your stability and to create your front edge piece where you would normally put a coverage for your front hairline. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take more of our fabric and we're just going to cut a longer rectangular piece that will be sewn onto that front edge. Since I'm using a t-shirt, I'm going to cheat this step a little bit and just cut the bottom edge off. So I'm going to start here. And that means this line will already be straight. So I'm just cutting. Now this will be scrunched a little bit, so make sure you're leaving it a little bit wider than you think you want that front band to be. Now this stretch of fabric is going to be far too long for what you need it for. So we're going to position it over our head, go around, leave enough fabric to tie into a knot, and cut the rest off. To put your pieces together, you're going to take your rectangle and find your midpoint. Then you're going to find your midpoint on the front of your top piece. You're going to put the fancy side of the fabric next to the dreads. Match up your midpoints. And then that is the line you're going to sew together. Now you should have left enough fabric on that front edge of your piece to sew directly in to your rectangular piece. So let's take a look at how that looks when it's finished. So here you can see that I am not a master seamstress, but we did get the job done. I used a different color thread so that you can see the stitches. It is functional and durable, and that completes the front. So let me show you how to put that on. Find your part that is your wig top, and I've used a bald mannequin so you can see exactly how much coverage this has. So you don't have to have any hair at all to do this. So find the center part of your piece, and you're going to position it right on the top of your head. Just kind of pull it around into place to kind of maybe stretch it back into shape. And then we're going to take the material part, go down underneath, and we're going to tie it at the nape. Once you've tied your fabric at the nape, just position your dreads where you'd like them to fall, and you're ready to rock this look. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a beat. And if you need products for your projects, check out dreadlocks.com for all your hair extension needs.